Hi everybody, welcome back to Dear Mr. DeRosa. This week's question is a twofer, as we like to call it down here. It's a 2-for-1, but they're both really about the same thing. Here we go. How do I make sure I internalize the idea of what's fair and not fair in terms of behavior management? That's question 1. Question 2. How do I deal with extreme behavior problems in a positive way and not have it seem either insincere or that a student is being held to a lesser standard? Well, the first thing we need to talk about is you, the teacher, and your mindset in this classroom. Because if you are not level-headed, if you're not ready for what's going to happen, you're not going to deal with it effectively. So the first thing is make sure you're finding your stress relief outside of work. Make sure you have an outlet. Don't bring those stresses from the outside world into school. And don't bring the stresses from outside of your classroom walls, but still in your school, into your classroom. The kids know that when that stuff's going on, and it affects everything. It affects how you deal with everything as well. You need to have a sense of humor about things. Sometimes you just need to do the old Zach Morris, time out, take a step back while everyone's frozen, and laugh at how ridiculous the situation is. I can't even begin to list the things that, looking back, were so absurd. I can't believe I flew off the handle and was not rolling on the floor laughing like some of the other students were. But you need to learn how to kind of take yourself out of the situation, because that'll help calm you down. The other part is to focus on the big picture. Look around at the rest of your students. If one student is causing a problem, deal with that student and don't take it out on the rest of the kids. Don't let it derail your class. And this goes into, well, how are you going to deal with it in a way that doesn't disrupt the rest of the class? That's step 2. The first thing is, I really am a big believer in you have to deal with things where the punishment fits the crime. And I hate the word punishment because that's not what we're really aiming for. We need to aim for management. That's why it's called classroom management and not classroom punishment. We need discipline and management, not punishment. There's a difference. If a kid messes up your room, they throw stuff on the floor, punishment is sending them out of the room or giving them a detention. Management is having them pick up the stuff off the floor and maybe even apologize, or not necessarily, as long as you can go back to class and you can talk to that kid later and get back to, the teaching part of what we're supposed to be doing every day. Here's my biggest pet peeve as a teacher. This is controversial. I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but I don't care because it needs to be said. If you have ever been told to hang a ladder of consequences on your wall, a list of steps that you will follow every single time something happens that is disruptive to the classroom environment, unless it was something developed by you and the students together or by the students themselves, you need to rip that thing off the wall and burn it. It doesn't work because it's inherently flawed. Okay? A kid throws a chair across the room. A kid talks out of turn while you're trying to teach your lesson. Which one's worse? I think you know the answer to that question. But if we're following the ladder of consequences, both students will get the exact same first consequence if that was the first misbehavior they've done. But of course we all know, even when we have a ladder of consequences, I think 99% of us end up throwing those out the window when something extreme happens. And all of a sudden, the kid who threw the chair across the room, we just jumped to number 5 on the ladder. You're at the top of the ladder, buddy. Congratulations. It's ridiculous. Get rid of it. And what you replace it with is a system of common sense. You deal with things appropriately. You deal with things in the calm and rational approach that we talked about earlier. Because if you have that, you'll be able to come up with a reasonable solution. If the problem is solved, whatever it is that was disrupted, and you can go back to the normal flow of the lesson, then do it and move on. And that's it. It's not actually as hard as it sounds. It's just hard to believe that that's possible because of what we've been told and what we've heard from negative influences. I'm going to give you some book recommendations that I've talked about on my blog before, but bear repeating, because these are the really the ones that will help you fix these problems. Number one, it's called Don't Swear with Your Mouth Full by Dr. Carrie Chu. Okay? Dr. Chu's a child psychologist, and he wrote a very skinny, very easy to read and understand book, not just for teachers but for parents as well, about how to deal with extreme behavior and fix it. Kids that everybody else has maybe given up on. Sound familiar? Secondly, the Bible, the book that changed everything about my teaching. Teaching with Love and Logic by Jim Fay and David Funk. This is the sort of extended version of a lot of the ideas in Don't Swear with Your Mouth Full. If you look through both of these books, I promise you will have an entirely different outlook on classroom management and behavior in your classroom and how to deal with it. I can't recommend either one of them enough. I'm taking next week off, as I suggest you do as well, so that you can come back in January full throttle, ready to go. Have happy holidays, have a happy new year, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.